researchers in Turkey now claim they found indisputable evidence that the story of Noah's Ark was not a cautionary tale about the consequences of forsaking God, but a verifiable historical event.
A national team of researchers have found new evidence that a famous formation in Turkey could be the site of the ancient vessel.
High in the lonely mountains of eastern Turkey, where the wind whistles through empty valleys and the clouds skim the rugged peaks, a mystery has decided it will not stay buried. For decades, researchers, explorers, skeptics, and believers have all set their eyes on a strange, boat-shaped formation resting quietly beneath dust, rock, and time. At first glance, it looks like any other hillside, just earth and stone. But when you take a closer look, when the sunlight hits it just right, something else begins to emerge. Something shaped, something structured, something that, according to many, looks far too familiar to ignore. Generations have asked the same question. Could this be the final resting place of Noah's Ark? Around the world, people listen whenever whispers of this site rise again. Because whether someone approaches it through science, history, or faith, this place stirs something ancient in the human heart. After all, the story of the Great Flood appears not just in the Bible, but in countless cultures, from Mesopotamia to Asia to the Americas. And for many, the possibility that a vessel from that age might still exist is astonishing and terrifying. Today, we're going deep into this mystery. We're exploring what modern scientists actually found inside the massive buried structure in Turkey, and why their discoveries have shaken scholars, journalists, and even governments. Before we continue, if you enjoy unraveling ancient mysteries, forgotten history, and scientific discoveries, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us keep exploring the unknown and bringing these extraordinary stories to life. Now let's begin. It all began in the 1950s, when a Turkish army officer flying over a remote valley near Mount Ararat spotted something odd. A gigantic boat-shaped outline pressed into the mountainside. From up in the air, it looked like a massive ship fused with the earth itself, as though stranded there after a mighty storm thousands of years ago. News of the strange formation spread quickly. By the 1960s, major networks like the BBC and National Geographic had arrived, cameras in hand, hoping to confirm the impossible. Locals already had a name for the place: the Durupinar Formation, a natural-looking ridge stretching nearly 540 feet, astonishingly close to the biblical measurements of Noah's Ark, described in Genesis chapter 6, verse 15, which reads, "The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth 50 cubits, and the height 30 cubits." As years passed, the site attracted everyone: geologists, engineers, religious scholars, adventurers, curiosity seekers. Among them was Professor Faruk Kaya, a soft-spoken academic captivated by ancient mysteries. Standing on the ridge, he said it felt like stepping onto the backbone of a creature frozen in time. Measuring and sampling, he found that the dimensions of the formation matched the ark's proportions almost too perfectly. But strange coincidences quickly became strange findings. Geologists examining the site uncovered something unexpected. The formation contained large amounts of limonite, a heavy iron mineral unusual for natural formations shaped like a ship. Questions multiplied rather than disappeared. Then, in 2021, a joint team from Istanbul, Agri, and Andrews University arrived with modern tools: drills, sensors, and ground-penetrating radar. They took deep soil samples and immediately noticed something extraordinary. The soil inside the structure held almost 3 times more organic material and potassium than the untouched earth around it. These are chemical fingerprints often left behind when wood decays over long periods. If this really was the fossil imprint of something wooden, what could it possibly mean? Radar scans created an even bigger stir. Instead of random shapes expected from natural geology, the ground displayed straight lines, clean angles, and rectangular patterns, shapes nature almost never forms. One researcher described the moment the scans appeared. It looked like rooms or corridors, but not something the Earth made by accident. Media outlets around the world took notice. Conferences erupted in debate. Was this a natural illusion? Or the buried remains of a colossal ancient structure? Scientists urged caution, yet the clues kept stacking up. To go deeper, researchers expanded their toolkit. Ground-penetrating radar, resistivity mapping, and advanced imaging software brought the hidden shape beneath the dirt into visible form. What emerged stunned even skeptics. A central hallway nearly 234 feet long appeared, flanked by evenly spaced side chambers, almost like stalls or rooms. The angles were unnaturally precise. Beneath that, resistivity scans revealed what looked like curved ribs, the sort you'd expect in the hull of a large wooden ship. Even more surprising was the suggestion of 3 separate deck layers, just as ancient texts described. John Larson, an engineer on the team, simply said, "This wasn't formed by accident. Something intentional built this." Suddenly, the Durupinar site no longer looked like a random mound. It looked like the skeleton of something vast and ancient. And the world took notice. One of the most eerie discoveries wasn't the structure itself. It was the chemical memory preserved deep underground. Soil from inside the formation showed abnormally high acidity and potassium, exactly the conditions left behind by decaying timber. Biogeochemists found lignin derivatives, molecules found only in wood, not in rock, not in mineral deposits, in wood. One expert described the soil this way: "It's the ghost of a structure." Beyond the organic traces, scientists found marine clay, shell fragments, and sediments shaped by huge amounts of water. When dated, they pointed back 3,500 to 5,000 years, lining up strikingly with ancient flood narratives. This didn't prove the Noah story, but it did prove something powerful had once taken place here. Not everyone is convinced. Some researchers argue that natural geological forces could create boat-shaped patterns, especially in a region prone to earthquakes and landslides. They caution against interpreting everything as evidence of the Ark. Yet even the skeptics admit that the formation's interior features, straight lines, symmetrical chambers, right-angled corridors, are highly unusual. Dr. Ahmet Özbek, a Turkish geophysicist, said bluntly, "Nature does not create hallways." And that remains the central mystery. If nature didn't do this, who did? And when? Local villagers add their own stories. Iron rivets found in soil, stone fragments with tool-like markings, and artifacts unearthed by accident long before scientists arrived. Even historians express fascination. As one scholar put it, "This site is a mirror. People see what their beliefs allow. But beneath it all, something very old is waiting." Perhaps the most unsettling discovery surfaced during deeper imaging rounds. At around 30 feet underground, radar revealed a sealed chamber, hollow, isolated, untouched. Thermal scans indicated something inside. Sonar detected metal traces. Tools? Artifacts? Something else entirely? The researchers refused to speculate, but others did not hold back. Media headlines exploded. Documentaries pushed dramatic theories. Religious groups gathered at the site. Governments scrambled to regulate it. Whether man-made or natural, the formation had become more than a ridge. It had become a symbol, one powerful enough to draw the world's attention. Today, the Durupinar site stands at a crossroads. It is part archaeological puzzle, part geological puzzle, part spiritual reflection. Some believe it holds the remains of Noah's Ark. Others insist it is simply nature's strange artwork. And some think it may be something else entirely. An ancient settlement, a forgotten structure, or a relic from a civilization lost to time. But whatever the truth is, one fact remains. The formation has defied explanation for nearly 70 years. As the sun sinks behind Mount Ararat and shadows stretch across the valley, the site stands quiet, unchanged, yet full of unanswered questions. What lies deep inside the sealed chamber? What carved those perfect angles? What story does the soil remember? And what if the Ark, whether symbolic or real, truly left a mark on this earth? For now, the truth remains buried beneath stone and centuries. And perhaps what terrifies the world most is not what has been found, but what might still be waiting.